3 sewing machines in a sewing room sounded like a good amount to justify it being called a sewing room. Hello and welcome to a new video. So, something very exciting has happened in our flat, but I feel like before I can get more into that, I need to give you a little backstory about our flat. I hope you're aware, I live in Scotland. I'm originally from Germany, but I've been living close to Glasgow for about 5 years now. Not necessarily of choice. I always felt like I never wanted to move to Glasgow, but then I got a job in Glasgow, and then Jack started working in Glasgow, and now I'm obviously doing my PhD here, and Jack owns a shop in the city centre now, so even if I manage to finish my PhD, drop out, do something else, God knows, we're still bound to Glasgow. Oh well. But about 3 years ago, I just had enough of Glasgow because it's genuinely so dirty and just loud, and it's so big. I mean, not like London big, but like I come from the countryside. Like every direction you turn to is just Glasgow and the sky-rise buildings, and I've just had enough. So we moved to the countryside, we bought a little flat here, and now we live in one of those little commuting towns. But it's far enough out that it doesn't feel like Glasgow anymore. So we bought this flat about 3 years ago. It's a tenement flat, which is the common style of Scotland. So in Northern England you get the terraced houses, whereas in Scotland it's more common to live in flats. And they all kind of have the same feeling to them. So they're all kind of like sandstone buildings with big windows, high ceilings, cornicing, get ceiling roses, and then you've got the fireplaces and the little bookshelf nooks next to them, and hardwood floors. And it's just, I don't know, I just really like tenement houses. Alas, in the 70s, people decided that actually the original features weren't all that nice anymore. So you get a lot of like tenement buildings nowadays that are just completely plain. They don't have any of the cornicing, fireplaces, hardwood floors anymore, which is really sad. But the flat that we bought had some of the features left, but you could still tell there was a lot of stuff done to them in the 70s that shouldn't have been done. So we moved in, and some of the rooms had lowered ceilings, so we ripped out the ceilings and found that there were actually water pipes running through the ceiling, and they knocked holes into the cornicing to feed the water pipes through. Why? So we had cornicing experts come in, taking molds, and we restored the entire cornicing and ceilings, and it took so long. And yes, I filmed the entire process, but ended up never publishing the video because but basically we've spent 3 years bringing this flat back to its Victorian glory, because it was built in 1892. So we've got this Edwardian massive fireplace surround, and then the insert is Victorian, and all of that is something that we had to restore because it wasn't in here anymore. That is background to our flat. So when we moved in, we really put a lot of focus into the living room because it was basically meant to be the focal room of the flat. So this is why you mainly see me filming in here. Like all my reels and everything is usually done in the living room. And it's a really lovely room. But when we moved in, you know, I love Jack, but he's still a man. So he's got his big TV, surround sound, Xbox, PlayStation, F1 racing reel, you know, all of these things that don't necessarily say Victorian grandeur. The question was, does that go into the living room or does it go into the spare bedroom? So you got the spare bedroom as a man cave, and we don't have any storage rooms or something in this flat because it was meant to be a 1-bedroom flat, and the bathroom used to be just a shared bathroom under the stairs for all 4 flats in this house. But they turned it into a 2-bedroom flat, so there's literally no storage cupboards and it's all very cramped. But so the little bedroom then was turned into Jack's like dressing room, media room, man cave room, and I got all of my clothes into the bedroom. And that was how it was for the past 3 years, but Jack didn't really use the room all that much. He's very lazy and I love him, but he would change in there and then he'd be like, oh, but the curtains should be drawn because I change in here, and then he wouldn't open them. So it's just basically this dark room for 3 years, and then often it would be messy and he'd just be like, I'll just close the door. So it almost felt like we didn't actually have the room, which is just, if you only have 2 bedrooms, that is a lot of rooms to lose. So for 3 years I was kind of like, you know how I have all of these hobbies and it's kind of like difficult to sew on the dining table and then put everything away every time we eat. And wouldn't it be nice, you know, I don't know, if I had a sewing room, especially because I don't know if you've picked up on this, but I am not the most excited about my PhD or science in general. I've kind of lost that part of me. I'm just like, so I'm very, very hopeful that I shall not be a scientist after my PhD. So obviously this whole content creation thing I'm doing, I don't know if it's going to actually be enough. Probably not. I still have 1.5 years on the PhD, but I really want to work as a seamstress. I want to create more content. I have obviously been writing a book, which I have sent out to publishers and agents. So I'll probably hear from them within the next 3 months, or not hear from them, and that's also an answer. But I have a lot of hobbies and they take a lot of space. So I was always like, Jack, wouldn't it be nice if the little room was a sewing room? So about like 3 weeks ago, Jack was kind of like realizing that maybe that would actually make sense. And I was like, yes, it's happening. I have a sewing room now. And I still can't believe it. It's so exciting. And I haven't actually had a room to myself since I lived in Germany and studied there. I moved in with Jack 5 years ago, and we've just been sharing our space since. And even though Jack has an amazing taste when it comes to interior, it's still not the same as having a room to yourself, and you can just do whatever you want with it. So with this room, I decided I'd just go like full on girly, and Jack calls it the Barbie room now, to annoy me, because I'm like, it's not Barbie, it's tasteful. But anyway, so I am going to show you what I've done, what happened, the entire process, and I'm so excited, and it's so pretty, and and yeah, that's why I'm filming in the living room probably one last time, because I can film in my little room from now. So let me show you what happened. Future historians shall refer to this very moment as the great migration of clothes of the 21st century. Good morning, my dear friends. Yeah, I mean, there's no way of making this somehow look more appealing. So basically, all of my clothes were in the bedroom wardrobe, and all of Jack's clothes were in the little room. So Jack had a small wardrobe and a little kind of like shirt hanging thing here in the little room, whereas I had a big wardrobe in the bedroom. So basically I had to take all of my clothes out of the big wardrobe, and then all of Jack's clothes moved in, but he also took the hanging thingy. So I now only have the small wardrobe, but a lot of clothes. So this is what already happened. So in order to accomplish this, all of the clothes just ended up on the ground for now. And before I can do anything else, I have to put the clothes away. But I don't think there's actually enough room for the clothes to be put away. This is not at all renovating. This is just literally me sorting through my wardrobe. But it's what needs to be done first before I can do anything else. Yes, everything's stored away. I have brought in something. Alas, I am not able to move the sewing table by myself because it's this teeny tiny cute delicate Singer sewing table, an antique one, and it weighs so much. So it has to go from the garden house back in here, and I can't possibly do that myself. Somehow Jack managed to actually carry it into the garden house by himself. I don't know how. But yeah, so it needs to come back in here, and that will go in the window, and then the chair will come in, and then the TV will move to the living room, and TV console thingy will be sold. Maybe move in the garden house for now. And a little bit counterproductive, once everything's in here, I'll paint. But I still think, because all of the furniture is less than used to be in here, so it's easier to paint now than it would have been before with Jack's furniture in here. But the painting will happen another day. I've put some trial spots on the wall of one of the Farron ball paints that I've picked up. I'm not sure if it's the one I'll go with, because it's a little bit cold. But then also we don't have any nice lights in here. Like, you can just tell this used to be a man's room by the fact that there's no little lights. Like, genuinely, Jack has the big light up there, and that's it. So if he needs light, he turns on the big light, and if he doesn't need light, he just... Men! Yeah, so I will get a little lamp that goes on my sewing table, get a little side lamp that goes on here, so ambient lighting from all corners. And I think once these little lamps are in here, it's going to start feeling more cozy, and then I'll need to see whether I like the color. But yeah, progress, people. I'm so excited. I feel like, yeah, I love Jack, but he didn't use this room very well, and I think it's already feeling so much more welcoming and open, and the window, the blinds are open, you know, it's like light in here. Okay, I managed to fit everything into the wardrobe. All of my more costumey things are in the white suitcase on top of the wardrobe, and all of my summer things are in the beige suitcase on top of the wardrobe. It's not ideal, but it works, so I'm happy. And then the next problem came up because I wanted the room to be pink. So actually the room I grew up in, not grew up in, but like after I came back from my year going to high school in America, I redid my room in Germany and I made it pink and I liked it. But it was a very cold pink and I always felt like I wanted it to be more of a rouge pink, you know, like a blushy pink. It was difficult finding the right pink. How could it be this difficult, right? But it was really difficult because most of the colors just felt either too Barbie or too grey. So I really like the Farron Ball Sulking Room pink, but it was just very grey in this room. So I ended up going with Pressed Petal by Dulux, and it's a one coat paint. And I thought this was just good marketing, but it was enough. The painting took me a day, which isn't that long, but I also painted the ceiling. The cornicing is white and the picture rail is white and the ceiling rose is white. So with the ceiling also being white, it just felt too white, like there was no dimension in it. So I painted the entire ceiling the off-white that I also used for the top of the walls. And I feel like it really adds to the room, but once the room was completely painted, I finally got to do the little details that would turn it into the whole fairy tale, dreamy, whimsical room, because I was really going for Rapunzel in her tower here. So first I brought all of the fake flowers in that used to live in the garden house, arranged them in a way that looked just very like over the top. So let's do the flowers. So basically I want to arrange them around the mirror just as I had it in the garden house. And the way I'll do that is I have like a central piece, which is like a longer bit. And I got this last year from Primark. I also have an autumnal one, but I think the orange pumpkins actually won't really work with the wall. So we'll just go for the wintry one. And this one I'll just kind of like fix around the mirror, like so-ish. And then once that is fixed, I'll just cautiously balance all of the other bits into it. So I've got lots more little pieces here that all used to be somehow stuck into the main piece, and I'll just kind of like arrange it by feeling and I'll see how it goes. So you see a theme here, it's very muted, very autumnal, and I think it will actually work very well with the wall color, so I'm quite excited to see what it looks like. But yeah, so let's get started. So one thing I have to show you guys though is the wall of shame, because basically it's hidden behind this very big picture currently, and I'm maybe thinking I want to put some kind of like higher shelf on here so that you can't see what's behind here, but I'll show you guys because I feel like you deserve to know. So basically there used to be a TV here, and Jack was very brave and tried to hang it himself. Thus we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 holes here that I kind of like covered up, and I tried to sand them down a bit, but it didn't work. And then there's another 4 holes here where we hired an actual manly handyman who was able to hang the TV. So yeah, this is not the prettiest part of the room, but if it's behind a picture or a shelf or something, it's, yeah, this secret stays between us friends. No one needs to know about this. So I think this may actually be the last day of our room decoration and renovation and doing. It is the 1st of October and it's officially our favorite month, and I am on annual leave, so it's Tuesday because my birthday is in 2 days, and I took off the entire week because this has kind of taken over my personality for the past 2 weeks. So actually being able to go back to sewing in my sewing room. Who is she? Originally I was planning to take this week of annual leave to make a coat, but now I'm prioritizing finishing the room and maybe just doing a little bit of sewing, and then we're going to the Highlands, and then we're going to a wedding, and then I'm already going back to work. So I'm not actually getting that like amazing, I'm just gonna be at home sewing break that I was hoping for. But alas, it is Christmas soon and I hopefully shall get a break then. So I got new curtains because the ones that are on right there behind you are very yellow, and they worked with the room before because the top bit was very yellowish as well. But now it just kind of looks like pee. We used to have those curtains in the living room for a while and I actually quite liked them there, but I don't know, it just doesn't work. I feel like this room isn't necessarily bright. Like, even though it's south facing, we just don't get a lot of light in this house. But because the room in itself is quite light colored now, I felt like, I don't know, something dark, something cozy. So I got these dark green tartan curtains from IKEA. So let's put them on. Let's do it. Okay, so against the light it seems completely impossible to show you guys what it actually looks like from a wider angle, but basically, yeah, you see it. Wow, new curtain. But the curtain is much less wide than the yellowish one was, so it almost feels like there's more room just because the curtain itself is smaller. I'm happy, looks really cozy, and I know I'm out of focus, but you were meant to look at the curtain anyway, so yay. So you may be wondering why we're sitting on the floor now. Because we're getting to the very last part of the renovation process. And basically this very last part requires us to channel our inner Rachel Maxey. So I thought it would be adequate to start this process on the floor, because I really want to paint some vines on the ceiling and on some of the walls. And I think it's going to be super lovely. And at first I was a bit afraid that Jack would just be like, hell no. But I showed him my designs and he said it looked cute. I don't know. He's weirdly supportive in this. I thought he would just be like, nah. 25 vintage colors acrylic paint set. So we've got lots of colors, and I've got my actual brushes somewhere in here. So I think I'll start right up there in the corner and get a little bit of practice, and then work my way down to where the light switch is behind me, which is the first thing you see when you come into the flat. I'm actually realizing I am the worst YouTuber ever, because all of this has already been shared on Instagram because this is where I do most of my stuff. So as I went along and painted, I already published a reel about this and then a little story, and I was just filming the story and I was like, wait, I actually should probably say the exact same thing to you guys here on YouTube. So yeah, let's just film the exact same thing again. So basically I am done. So like the corner is done, the ceiling is done, and originally I wanted to paint it all the way down to where the light switch is. But then I realized it may actually be too much, which I cannot believe I'm saying on this channel because, you know, more is more here, especially with the little wreath on this side of as well, and all of the fake flowers and all of the things on the wall and all of the deco and everything. I just started realizing that maybe if I started painting every single corner and then also went all the way down to the light switch there, it could get a little bit heavy on the decoration side. If I thought painting the ceiling with a roller was a pain, then welcome to painting vines onto the ceiling, because that was like actually trying to like get the little details and everything, and I gave up at some point. But the good thing is, if you paint something like this, I feel like it's not like you don't have to do it overly well in detail. Like if you look really closely, you'll see it's not amazing. It's not like a piece of art you would frame, but as a total, it actually looks quite nice, and I'm very happy. And I think the room is actually done, minus all of the crap that's everywhere. So I need to tidy up. I need to bring the paint out. I need to, like, you know, decorate. But yeah, I think I'll do that off screen. I hope you enjoyed this as well, even though I think it's just me running around the room in panic trying to do stuff. So with that, I'll see you guys in the reveal. And that is the room done. So I have to admit though, this room does not have amazing light, especially because the nice part is kind of like against the window, and the part that's towards the door is kind of more of the storage roomy area where I've got this IKEA shelf, and I've started putting like bed sheets and curtains and towels and stuff all on there. So it's actually like still a little bit of storage room, because as I mentioned in the intro, we still don't have a storage room, so stuff just has to live in the rooms in like little corners. But I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's like honestly all of my whimsical dreams come true, and I feel like the ceiling is so nice. But the funniest thing was actually when I told Jack about like that I wanted to draw flowers on the ceiling. I at first thought that he would just be like, no, but he was very supportive. But the only thing, he like looked me dead in the eye and he said, "But can you actually do that?" What do you mean? I'm like a multi-talented artist, you know. I'm not amazing at anything, but I think I can do everything. And I was also like, I literally just taught myself digital drawing so I could design the cover to my book. Like, I'm sure I can draw some flowers on the ceiling, but he's like, oh yeah, but paint is different than like digital drawing. I am good at these things. I am terrible at science. I'm terrible at normal, you know, common sense things, but I'm good at art. That's the one thing I can do. It turned out pretty good. Like, I mean, obviously drawing on the ceiling, yeah, not my favorite task. My neck is in agony still, because you're just there like, ugh. But it turned out well. I was originally thinking about, you know, like I mentioned, doing some more corners, which I may do eventually if I feel like it needs a little bit more detail. And obviously the room isn't completely done. So the wall of shame that I talked about earlier just has the Scotland map on it currently, and it's also hanging very low, which is just because there are screws behind it and I didn't feel like putting on more screws or nails. I would really like to have a little shelf there to add some more storage space and just maybe some books or something, because you can never have enough books. Maybe move the Scotland map to this side, because the wall with the mannequin is still a little bit empty, but I'm just leaving myself a little bit more space to develop it over the coming weeks and years. But it feels very whimsical, and I'm getting ready here in the morning. I've got all of my sewing stuff now all together, and I've actually got the sewing machine out, so I just need to take the little box off it, and there's my Singer heavy duty underneath it. Because I actually had people asking me on Instagram being like, do you actually sew on the antique machines? No, I sew on a Singer heavy duty, and I've got the antique sewing table, which if you fold it open has an antique sewing machine in it. And then I got another little hand-driven machine just for decoration, because, you know, 3 sewing machines in a sewing room sounded like a good amount to justify it being called a sewing room. So you'll probably find me filming more videos from here in the future. And I also know that I've already shown all of this on Instagram. Because I am a terrible YouTuber. I am an Instagrammer. I do YouTube on the side. I'm not a main YouTuber. If you found this interesting, and if you would like to know what I'm up to before I publish it on here, then I would highly suggest you check out my Instagram. It's Dear Tally, same as this channel. With that, we can finally get back to sewing. This is the end of the video, so like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you back in this room soon.